Hello YouTube and welcome to an all new Elder Scrolls lore video. Today we're talking about the Golden Saints or Orioles, servants of Sheogorath in the Shivering Isles. Their story is quite an interesting one if I say so myself, so let's talk about them. So, the Golden Saints, or Orioles as they call themselves, are Daedric servants of the Daedric Prince Sheogorath, the Daedric Prince of Madness. They make up one half of his army of servants, with the other half of his army being the Dark Seducers, or Mazken as they call themselves, who are the eternal rivals of the Golden Saints. They are designed to be almost angelic creatures with golden skin and elf-like ears, almost like high elves, except they have green eyes with vertical pupils, almost like a cat, and they are very tall, averaging around 6 feet. Everything in their outfit is designed to complement their angelic design, making them look like benevolent beings, which they are absolutely not, as the Golden Saints are extremely arrogant and proud creatures which do not care at all for mortals, as they see themselves as way higher beings. Despite this, they are fiercely loyal to the Daedric Prince Sheogorath, and they are ever in a quest to gain his favor over the Dark Seducers. Their drive to prove their loyalty is so great that sometimes they engrave their teeth with Sheogorath's 3 faces of madness, which are essentially his symbols. They are a heavily militaristic society, strongly adhering to the principles of duty and honor. Their battle prowess is legendary, as they are much stronger physically than mortals, and their weapons and armor are all of the extremely strong variety, with their equipment all being made out of pure gold and moonstone, which is mixed into an alloy that's stronger than steel and requires the heart of a Daedra to produce. With the production process driving any mortal who tries to replicate it mad. It's almost like everything in the Shivering Isles essentially. As one half of Sheogorath's Daedric army, the Golden Saints are the protectors of the northern half of the Shivering Isles, the so-called Dukedom of Mania. They serve it as its law enforcement and protection, serving the mortal Duke or Duchess of Mania and protecting the citizenry. The ironic thing is that while they protect mortals and even serve a mortal Duke, because they have been commanded by Sheogorath, they really don't care for mortals at all, as we talked about, and they don't even try to hide it, as they're quite aggressive and unfriendly to the mortals that they tend to, and they tend to have a very strong temper when interacting with mortals, being extremely quick to lash out against mortals and to punish them when just one of the citizens of Mania has done something wrong, truly preferring not to take prisoners but rather just murder mortals who have broken the laws of Mania. Unfortunately for them, as we established, they are constantly fighting to prove themselves to be the most loyal servants of Sheogorath, trying to get in his favor over their rivals, the Dark Seducers. This means they have to follow his orders, and Sheogorath has ordered them to listen to the mortal Duke or Duchess of Mania, who generally has laid out laws that prisoners need to be taken in, meaning that the Golden Saints reluctantly do take prisoners and don't just murder lawbreakers. Something interesting is that in their society, women are way more important than men. Men are looked down upon and the women hold all the power and have the most prestige. That isn't to say that they don't have men in their society, they do, but the males are just seen as lesser due to their clouded judgment and get no important positions of power and are basically seen as cannon fodder in war. Interestingly enough, the males also tend to be shorter than the females, adding to their inferiority in Oriole society. Men are so inferior in their society that in their military hierarchy, basically the highest ranking male is less important than the lowest ranking female, who has the title of Auron, and the highest ranking female, basically their highest commander, having the title of Armazel, with 6 other ranks in titles between the two. And men are all the way down below the Auron, something which they seem to be fine with, as even the men themselves see themselves as inferior. Now, in-universe scholars on Tamriel have speculated that the Golden Saints may not actually be originally from the Shivering Isles, but just ended up there and started serving Sheogorath. This seems unlikely to me personally, as they seem to have just been created by Sheogorath together with the Shivering Isles, as when they perish in battle, their souls are eventually returned to the Shivering Isles, where they are then reborn at the so-called Wellspring of the Oriole in their Font of Rebirth, which is located in the Shivering Isles, inside their ancestral home of Brelok, a large temple filled with underground halls. Now, in addition to patrolling the Shivering Isles, the Golden Saints are often sent out by Sheogorath into Tamriel and into other Daedric realms to do his bidding. We can find them in both Morrowind and the Elder Scrolls Online, as they are carrying out missions for Sheogorath. Another interesting tidbit is that just like other minor Daedra, Golden Saints are actually capable of being summoned by mortals in Tamriel if they have the right spells. In the second era, one Golden Saint was summoned by a mortal sorcerer to take the place of his dead wife, so his child could be raised by the Golden Saint. Let's say curious choice considering their stance on mortals, but hey, it actually went pretty well. I talked about that story to a far greater extent in my video on the mortal mage who was raised by the Daedra, Malkor Velos. Link to that video is in the description if you want to learn more about the Elder Scrolls lore. In fact, I'll do you one better and also put a link to my video on the story of the Elder Scrolls Legends Shivering Isles questline, as in my opinion, that's a hugely underappreciated story. I would say one of the best Elder Scrolls stories, period, with not many people getting to experience that as not many people played the Elder Scrolls Legends story mode or bought the DLC packs. But it hides a pretty good story, which also has to do with our favorite Prince of Madness, Sheogorath. So a link to both those videos will be in the description. But that was basically all I could say about the Golden Saints, and I truly hope that you learned something new about the Elder Scrolls lore today, and if you did, maybe return for the next Elder Scrolls lore video. Anyway, it's time to end my video now, so all that's left for me to do is to vocally thank my top Patreon supporters who make this all possible: Mr. Bernardo Bin, Gabriel Bin, Polo Esputin, Athena Hyotis, Volkir of Argonia, King Chris, Bolts, Scrap of Skulls, Doji, Fenrir, Sword of Bushido, Rakai, Zarmikal, and Mr. Christmas. It is thanks to these people and all the others on screen that this channel stays alive, and for that I'm very grateful. That said, I hope to see all of you in the next Elder Scrolls lore video. Bye bye.